All right, welcome to a PowerPoint of American Civil War, Michigan's view. This is from Michigan's point of view, and it kind of goes between Michigan's point of view during the American Civil War to what it is now. So let's get started here, and I'll talk about a lot of the photos. This one is actually one I took in March of 2013. Um, this is at the battlefield in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna move on to our next slide here. Come on, it's not working. Of course, it's a little bit about the state. Michigan saw fighting in it in the war during the War of 1812. This became part of the problem, which then led to Michigan becoming a state in 1837. And if you don't really know, the first capital was actually in Detroit, um, not in Lansing. It was moved later on to Lansing uh, during the American before the American Civil War. All right. Well, now pre Civil War, uh, Michigan voted for Abraham Lincoln. Of course, Abraham Lincoln runs for president. Slavery becomes part of the nation's topic, and the Republican Party is formed. Um, According to anybody who lives in Wisconsin, it was founded there, but it was actually founded in Jackson, Michigan. Uh, the first Republican Party was held at Under the Oaks, and if you really don't know, that actually is where the founding of the Republican Party was. It was not in Wisconsin. Now, Abraham, the cause of the war. You see, slavery is up there. That is technically not true. Um, Slavery was uh, not a part of why the war started. It was actually the election of Abraham Lincoln. Uh, as you can see, Abraham Lincoln is voted for in the vote for president, only winning by 39% of the vote, popular vote, because there were different uh, four different candidates running for president. Let's see, hmm. My clicker's not working, so we'll use this. Uh, at the beginning, Michigan did. At the beginning of the war, uh, the first shots were on the Star of the West. That's actually when the war started. That was in March of 1861. And then after that, in April, Fort Sumter was attacked. This, uh, of course, happened. There was actually nobody from Michigan actually at the fort when it was attacked. That led to the surrender of the fort, where uh, Confederates came in and captured the fort. So now, what does the new president Abraham Lincoln do? Well, he calls for 75,000 troops. This is his first call for volunteers, and this is actually when Michigan answers the call. Um, as you can see, the photo is actually 1st Michigan Infantry receiving their flag in Detroit. Um, this is an actual photo. Uh, Thank you to the National Archives that I have for the Michigan Infantry. Uh, you can't really tell, but it's right behind this tree is right where um, the flag is being given to the men of the 1st Michigan Infantry. This is actually an infantry made up of militia. A lot of them were from different areas around the state. And here's a little bit about them. The 1st Michigan Infantry, 3 months regiment. They were only for 3 months. That's why they wanted. Why what Abraham Lincoln thought it was going to be, and what everybody thought the war was going to take was just 3 months. Of course, the 1st Michigan Infantry left for Washington City. Not Washington D.C. Was not named Washington D.C. until later on. on May 13th, 1861, and didn't arrive until 3 days later. Um, Michigan became the first Western state to send a regiment to Washington, and this is where thank God for Michigan comes into play. Abraham Lincoln, when he heard of the arrival of the First Michigan Infantry, he exclaimed, "Thank God for Michigan," because Michigan was the first Western state to reach Washington. And of course, they were marching up Pennsylvania Ave towards the White House, where they actually camped probably around the White House or the Capitol. Today, you can't really see any of the remains of that because they're all gone. And after they reached Washington, they then went into battle, where they fought at the First Battle of Bull Run. This actually becomes a problem because they lose a lot of their men. One of the famous men from that is Captain Withington is taken prisoner here, and then he is paroled and given a colonel. He became colonel of another regiment later on. But this was a desperate loss for the Union. So it turns out that it wasn't going to be just a 3 months war. So the regiment did return to the state later that year in August, and was mustered out. And then they actually became a full regiment, 3-year regiment. That the Michigan Infantry became a full 3-year regiment after the Battle of Bull Run, when everybody figured out that it was not going to take just 3 months to take down this rebellion. So now Michigan sent only one 3-month regiment that, of course, fought at Bull Run. And here is a photo of the 2nd Michigan Infantry in parade, or in battle lines. And if you can't really tell, or you can't see, there are 2 rows up for a battle line, and that's pretty much how most regiments were fought. This is one of the regiments, astounding regiments that fought anywhere on the in both Western and Eastern theaters. There's a lot more photos out there of regiments. A lot of them aren't Michigan. 1st, 2nd, 21st, and then another photo you'll see later on in this PowerPoint. Now, Michigan role. Michigan did actually fight in over 800 engagements that went from all the way to from Battle of Bull Run, all the way to Gettysburg, down to Vicksburg, down to Shiloh, to Chattanooga, to Savannah, to Atlanta, all the way up to Yellow Tavern, all the way to Appomattox, and the surrender of both our Confederate armies to Ulysses S. Grant and William Tecumseh Sherman. Now, Michigan actually sent over 87,000 men to fight. They were actually composed into 31 regiments of infantry, 11 regiments of cavalry, 14 batteries of light artillery, a regiment of engineers and mechanics, and a regiment of sharpshooters. This one thing about the 31 regiments of infantry, only one of them was a colored infantry. So they were the first Michigan colored infantry, which later changed to the 102nd U.S. Colored Troops. I believe that's the only state colored infantry to lose their state designation. A lot of other ones didn't actually lose their designation; they were just reformed into another regiment. Each infantry had about 1,000 men. The cavalry had about 1,200 men in each of them, and each battery had about about 100 men each. 12 of those batteries were actually 6-gun batteries. They had 6 artillery pieces. The other 2 were medium or light or smaller ones, about 4 or 5-gun batteries. The engineers and mechanics were actually down in during Sherman, fought all the way with Sherman, and built many bridges on the way down to Savannah, Georgia, during the March to the Sea. And then Michigan sharpshooters became a very prominent role in the American Civil War. With one of the Company K, is actually a all Indian company. Even their commanders were Indian or Native American. Now, like I said, Michigan did fight at Gettysburg. Michigan at Gettysburg being one of the main battles everybody knows about, but a lot don't know about what happened. The regiments, of course, you can see at Gettysburg were the 1st, 5th, 6th, and 7th Cavalry, 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, 16th, 24th Infantry, and Battery I, 1st Michigan Light Artillery, or 9th Battery. Michigan, of course, fought at Gettysburg heavily. 24th Michigan actually lost 5 color bearers and their colonel, their colonel was the last one to hold the colors. And part of their colors are actually down in North Carolina. I believe at their state archives, holds on to the national colors of the 24th Michigan Infantry. The Michigan Cavalry Brigade, which consisted of the 1st, 5th, 6th, and 7th, actually were under the command of General George A. Custer, who defied his commanding officer for his commanding officer's commanding officer, General Gregg. He followed General Gregg's order and actually fought on the East Cavalry battlefield in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. For those who don't really know about East Cavalry battlefield, it's a secluded part of the battlefield. If you've ever been to the battlefield in Gettysburg, you can see a lot of things have changed. Each part of this battlefield has changed over time as life moved on. The main part of the battlefield everybody still visits today, where Pickett's Charge happened. The 1st actually took part in the 1st Michigan Infantry took part in the Pickett's Charge, and so did Battery I. They were all posted on Cemetery Ridge. With Pickett's Charge, Jeb Stuart was supposed to attack around the rear of the Union lines, but Michigan, of course, did stop and saved the day on July 3rd. A lot of people don't really realize that. And if you do get a chance to visit Gettysburg, go visit the East Cavalry battlefield, the most beautiful monument Michigan is out there in Gettysburg in the East Cavalry battlefield. It's about 3 miles away from the actual battlefield site, and a lot of people really don't like to talk about it. It's one thing that people don't want to learn about, but it's becoming a new part of our history here in Michigan. Now, a little bit about what the Michigan Cavalry Brigade was. When they first became a brigade, they were under the command of General George T. Copeland, and it only consisted of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Michigan Cavalry. It wasn't until 3 days before the Battle of Gettysburg, George Custer, native Michigander, took charge of the brigade, and the 1st was added on. And of course, this became kind of something they did, but they also wore red neckties. They became known as the Red Necktie Boys. And everybody in the Union Army knew who these boys were because of their famous red necktie that their commanding officer wore, and they wore as a sign of being proud. And of course, in the early part of 1864, the 1st Vermont Cavalry was added on. This is the only non-Michigan cavalry unit in this brigade for a couple months that was added in. and they were only in there for just until the numbers were boosted back up of the 1st, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Um, and they actually got the honorable name of 8th Michigan Cavalry, but they weren't actually the 8th Michigan Cavalry. They were just a honorable a regiment. That was their nickname. And after they were no longer in the brigade, they actually got to keep the red neckties, even though most of them didn't want to wear it because they only would wear it for the boys in the Michigan Cavalry Brigade. After General Custer actually moved on from the brigade to division commander, Colonel James Kidd, the former commander of the 6th Michigan Cavalry, took charge of the brigade, and then after he went back to the 6th, Colonel Peter Stagg became the commanding officer of the brigade, and he actually was the commanding officer of the brigade all the way until the end of the war. Now, it says killed Jeb Stuart. That is actually credited to Michigan. The 5th Michigan Cavalry. Don't know the name of the guy who... Nobody knows the name of the guy who actually killed him. But it was a shot from the 5th Michigan Cavalry who shot and killed Jeb Stuart at the Battle of Yellow Tavern. Michigan, of course, did play a big role. And if you don't know a lot about Michigan, you'll understand why Michigan's view on the Civil War is so costly to the history of Michigan today. Now, these are the 4 flags from left to right. It is the 1st Michigan Cavalry, 5th, 6th, and 7th. You can really read most of them. The 6th Michigan Cavalry has a cross sabers. That's what they would wear on their kepis to actually understand what they are doing, or what they belong to. But they also would have a yellow piping down their legs, so they would understand. The yellow piping would be commanding officer, the cavalry. These are all battle flags. As you could tell, these are all torn except the 5th. It has a slight tear in it. But these are all battle flags. They all were carried into battle. Of course, being the 6th, having the only one without the golden fringe. The 5th has golden fringe. It just, the photo I have doesn't have the golden fringe on it. It just has the close-up of the eagle. And now, moving towards the end of the war, Michigan didn't really play that big of a role during any other battles besides Gettysburg. Of course, like I said, they were at Vicksburg, they were at Petersburg, they were at almost all battles. Over 800 different engagements. Now, with the war ending, Michigan is present at both of the surrenders, at the surrender of both the armies of Northern Virginia and Tennessee, Army of Northern Virginia at Appomattox Courthouse, and the Army of Tennessee in Durham, North Carolina. And of course, after the surrender, Michigan does march in the Grand Review of Troops in Washington. After Abraham Lincoln is assassinated, the war is ended. Abraham Lincoln dies after being assassinated, and the Michigan troops, and then they have a big Grand Review in May, after a nation mourns the loss of their president. Of course, this is not actually a photo of any Michigan regiment. This is just to show you. This is early photography being taken. Now we look at photography. We could take photos of people moving. You had to pretty much sit still for almost 30 minutes so they could get a photo. As you can see, it's blurry because of the movement of the horses and the men. But Michigan, of course, did march and participate in the Grand Review. Then Michigan's last contributions to the war effort were the 4th Michigan Cavalry. Did capture Jefferson Davis. It was a fight between Wisconsin and Michigan again. And of course, that is Wisconsin fighting with Michigan, once that never happening. They fought about it. It went to Congress. Congress actually declared 4th Michigan Cavalry the present the owners of the ransom for capturing Jefferson Davis. And then, and I don't know if you can tell, this is this photo here. This guy right there. I'm gonna circle him here with my mouse. Is Christian Rath. He's the hangman of the 4 conspirators. The United States government chose him because of his name, Christian Rath. Of course, play on words there. But he was the hangman for the 4 conspirators. So Michigan was present for the hanging of the 4 conspirators there, and of course after when they were buried. Now Michigan did lose a generation during the war. Michigan lost 14,753 men. That's wounded, missing, killed in action, died of disease, died in a prison. And today there are over 170 men, or there are 171 men. They're at the National Cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. That's actually the stone from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, that I took. And then on the right, that is a photo of the 24th Michigan Infantry. They're dead. They lost about in that battle. They went in with over 400 men, and they lost over about 363 men in just that battle as total casualties. Now what? This becomes the question, what is happening to better help the understanding of the Civil War and Michigan's contributions? Of course, you just saw all of Michigan's contributions, but what's happening now to better those contributions? And that's what I'm going to show you. This photo, and of course, this photo, I love this photo, how it's set up and everything. This is actually Cannon on Little Round Top. Again, this is taken in March of 2013. The cannon is actually facing Confederate lines. The Confederate lines almost surrounded the entire Union Army, but weren't able to because of the stretching out the Army did. Well, to first start off, there's organizations that are there for for teaching. Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, the SUVCW. All their members have ancestors that fought for the Union. I'm one of those members. I have a great grandfather and 3 great uncles that all fought for the Union. The organization is teaching the youth. What you see in the photo is actually at a school. The camp that I belong to actually participated in. We're doing, of course, reenactment, both for the school, so they get to actually feel what it was like that the men actually went through. But we also keep green the memory of the boys in blue, the boys that fought for the Union and died in that lost generation. And if you want some more information, you can go ahead and go to www.suvcw.org. Of course, in the description, all the links will be there of every all the links to go to the website, this website, or any other website that I talk about. And if you'd like to join, if you're from Michigan or you're from any other state, you can look up your state, and actually get it sent to who you need to be contacting to join the SUVCW. We are always looking for new men to join our ranks, and we would love to have anybody join us. On the other side of that is the Sons of Confederate Veterans, kind of like the kind of like the Sons. This is the Sons of Confederate Veterans. This is preserving. They are pretty much preserving the history, the legacy of these heroes, so future generations can understand the motives that animated the Southern cause. The Southern cause was states' rights. The Union wanted to keep the states together. And 1% of the Southern population owned slaves, so everybody in the Confederate armies did not have slaves. So you could pretty much see they weren't fighting for slavery; they were fighting for states' rights. But if you want to learn some more about that organization, you can. You visit scv.org, and they'll be happy to answer any of your questions. You can learn some more about that organization. Or if you have a Confederate ancestor, you can join that organization as well. Now, this is the biggest thing, the national parks. If you've never been to a national park before, you should probably get out and visit one eventually in your lifetime. The national parks are preserving the history of our nation and helping us understand that history. At the Battle of Gettysburg, the national park there is huge. And if you want to visit a Civil War battlefield, go ahead and go to www.nps.gov. That will take you right to the website, and you can actually view any Civil War battlefield that you'd like to visit. Of course, this is the field of Pickett's Charge. This bottom photo here, it's actually a photo I took. It's not photo sliced together. It's actually a panorama shot. But this is actually the field of Pickett's Charge, and the actual regiments that were actually there. I don't remember the names, but the angle and behind me is actually an artillery unit that was there at the high water mark of the Confederacy. Now, there are, of course, reenactments. As reenactors, we have, I'm also a reenactor, we have a lot of reenactments, and these are all over. There could be one in Missouri nobody knows about, or in California nobody knows about. Like, I probably won't know about it here in where I live, but the people in California will know about it. Well, the two well-known ones are the Gettysburg reenactment in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. That's actually you have to pay to get into. I don't understand. I understand why. But then you also have the Jackson Civil War muster in Jackson, Michigan. This muster is actually a free event to the public, and it actually is just behind Gettysburg, with the largest, second largest reenactment, the largest one in the Midwest. And this is actually history that's brought alive. These reenactments are history that brings the history alive, kind of like what the Sons of Union Veterans does. But these actually bring it alive, not only to school children, but to the public. On certain days, you will have about 5,000 people come through. Um, we'll have so many people come through and actually visit us. But you could come and join us at any reenactment round. And if you get a chance, stop in and talk to a reenactor. If you'd like to join a unit uh, or learn some more about reenacting, you can join a reenactor, or you can actually find a local Sons group that will like to come in and talk to your school, or like talk, or you like to just get some more information about what the Sons do, or the reenact or what reenactments are. Uh, of course, these ones are from both here in Michigan. These are actually what the reenactments look like. A lot of men, and these are a lot of guys. These are a lot of older guys that do this, but they have fun doing it. Of course, the Jackson Civil War muster is one of the largest ones. This is actually they're both from 2013 year. The one on the right is actually Concord Civil War Day. It's a smaller one. There's not a big reenactment like the one at the Jackson Civil War muster, but it's a small one. This is pretty much put on by the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, and there are men that are dressed in the blue with no piping, and the men that are in the yellow piping. So you can see the difference between the men. And of course, Jackson Civil War muster having a big turnout. But if you'd like to come and visit and see some more of that, Jackson Civil War muster is every fourth weekend in August. And I believe before we end, there's one more. Okay. And of course, the Jackson Civil War muster is every fourth weekend. But then there's also books on the American Civil War. And on Michigan. This is actually the photo here is actually the cover of my book. And if you like to actually buy that book or any of the other books of Michigan regiments and learn more about our other Civil War regiments from other states, if you'd like to buy that, just visit Amazon, and this link will of course be in the description below. But you can actually see this is a compilation of what the book looks like, of what the book is where these regiments fought, their total enrollment, and how many men were killed, and who their commanding officers were at the beginning of the war, or when they were mustered in. Some of them didn't muster in at the beginning of the war. But you can actually see how these books are actually formed, or how these regiments were formed, and how many men were actually fought in each regiment. Of course, books like the history of Michigan Civil War regiments are published to help research or to follow a regiment. You might want to follow the 150th Pennsylvania Regiment, Infantry Regiment. There's going to be a book on them somewhere. You could follow them. But a lot of the books are actually published from primary sources, with secondary sources being used to help out the primary sources. And of course, this book is part of a series by the author, by me, of course. So if you like to take a look at that and go purchase it, go ahead. Link, of course, is in the description below. And as we end, I'd like to say thank you for taking your time and watching this PowerPoint presentation. There were some bumps along the road, but here's to the men that fought in gray and blue. As an American Civil War historian, you just don't look at one side; you look at both. And for me, I look at both. I look at how Michigan looks, how Michigan fought, what happened, and only one thing I like to say is Michigan. Michigan did a lot for the country, but there was 4 things during the American Civil War that Michigan did really well, and that helped the Union cause. and that is the 1st Michigan Infantry, like I said, marching down Pennsylvania Avenue, and thank God for Michigan. Number 2 is the Michigan Cavalry Brigade at the Battle of Gettysburg, saving the day on July 3rd and stopping Jeb Stuart. Number 3 is the capture of Jefferson Davis by the 4th Michigan Infantry, or 4th Michigan Cavalry. And the final thing is the hanging, as Michigan being the state to hang the 4 conspirators. Thank you, and I hope you like this. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to see some more. If not, that's fine too. But that's all I have for now. So I hope you have a great day.